Hello everyone, welcome to SS Multimedia. This is Harshita Shishala. In this lesson, we'll be learning how to subtract decimals.
The objective of today's lesson is learning to subtract decimals. Before we start off with examples, I would like to give you 2 pointers. So the first one I would like to say is always align decimal points. Decimal points, yes, always align decimal points. So this might not make sense when I say it, but as we go through the video and like as we go through the problems it will make more sense. The second pointer is check for reasonableness. So I will explain this more thoroughly later in the video. Okay? So reasonableness. I'm just gonna underline reasonableness and align because those are two words that we need to remember. I'm just highlighting those two, okay? Now, let's start off with examples. Okay, so the first example says 19.28 minus 7.19. So we have to subtract these two. Well, we're going to learn how to subtract decimal points now. So first, write down 19.28. Then, under the first decimal point, so under this decimal point, put another decimal point. So this is the second number, okay? Now, so there's 9. So what numbers are there after the decimal point? Well, there's 19. So write down 19. What numbers are there before the decimal point? Well, there's 7. So you write down 7. So this is what I mean by align. So when you look at it, these two are aligned. So that's how I want. So that's how the right way. So that's how you're supposed to subtract the decimal points. Okay. So now what do you do? Well, you have to subtract it like any other number. So you have to think about it like how do you subtract when you do 29 minus 13? You do the same thing now. So you borrow 18. Let me change the color. And then 18. Now this so once you borrow you put 1 over here. 18 minus 9 is 9. 1 minus 1 is 0. 9 minus 7 is 2. 1 minus 0 is 1. Now you put a decimal point right uh, like right under the second decimal point. So it has to make like a line. Okay? And that's how you subtract decimals. So let's do more questions for practice. Okay? It says 7.005 minus 2.1. 7.005. Okay, now put a decimal point right under this decimal point. And then what numbers are there after the decimal point? Well, there's 1. What numbers are there before the decimal point? Well, there's 2. 2.1. Now, like any other any other number or any other decimals you subtract, okay? So there are 2 zeros here. Well, you can think that there are 2 zeros here. It wouldn't change the number, okay? Now just subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5. 0 minus 0 is 0. We can't take 1 from 0. So we have to borrow. This will turn into 10. This will be 6. 10 minus 1. What is 10 minus 1? Well, 10 minus 1 is 9. And 6 minus 2 is 4. Now place the decimal point right under the other 2 decimal points. So under these 2 decimal points. Okay? So our answer for the second question is 4.905. Okay, let's do another question. So it says 1.204 minus 0.35. Okay, so we do the same thing. We write down 1.204, put a decimal point, see how many numbers there are what numbers there are after the decimal points. Well, there's 3 and 5. there are no numbers before the decimal point, so we can just write down at 0. And now we start off, and then we start. So now we start doing it. So we can say that there's a 0 under the 4. So 4 minus 0 is 4. 0 minus 5. We can't do 0 minus 5, so we have to borrow. And this would be 1. 10 minus 5 would be 5. 1 minus 3, well, we can't do 1 minus 3, so we have to borrow again. 11 minus 3 would be 8, and then this would get crossed out, and it will turn into 0. 0 minus 0 is 0, and then you place the decimal point. So our answer for the third question is 0.84. I'm going to write it down, 0.854. Okay? Let's do a word problem now. It says, Emma loves to bake. She gets 4.33 kgs of flour to bake a cake. However, she doesn't need all 4.3 kgs of flour. She only needs 2.205 kgs of flour to bake the cake. How many kgs of flour will Emma have left after she bakes the cake? Well, let's start off by asking ourselves, what kind of problem is this? Is this a subtraction, addition, multiplication, or a division problem? Well, this is a subtraction problem because it says how many kgs of flour will Emma have left? Okay, the left tells us that it's a subtraction problem. So what's our total? Well, our total is 4.33 kgs. And our amount of, so the amount of flour she needs to bake the cake. So let's just say cake, I'm just going to say flour, and then I'm going to write N. You know what? I'm just going to erase all this. And then let's just call this F, okay? So flour needed to bake the cake equals 2.205 kgs. Now, we have to subtract the total from the flour needed to bake the cake. So that is basically 4.33 minus 2.205. So we can do that. Now let's just say there's a 0 over here. Putting a 0 makes it much easier and more clear. So we can subtract 5 from 0, so we carry or we borrow. This will turn into a 2. And then 10 minus 5 is 5. 2 minus 0 is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. 4 minus 2 is 2. Always remember to place the decimal point in the right place, and also always remember to place the decimal point. Some people might forget to place the decimal point, and this is what I was talking about, reasonableness. So sometimes people just put the decimal point in the wrong place. So sometimes they do it as like this instead of I'll show you. So instead of putting it over after 2, they put it after 1 or some other place. So that is wrong. They're supposed to put it over here. And you have to check it for reasonableness, okay? Does 21 make sense? 21.25. Is 4 minus 2 21? Well, no, it's not. So that's definitely wrong. And you should think about it like that. So does this make sense? Is the answer like reasonable? And 2.125 is a reasonable answer, so that is the right answer. 2.125, not 15. So I'll just write down Emma has 2.125 kgs of flour left. Okay, it's problem time. Basically, what you guys do is pause the video and try these 3 problems on your own. Then unpause and see if you got it right. Okay, I'll assume that you guys paused the video and let's start doing these examples and see if you got it right. The first one says 109.34 minus 8.09. So let's start off by writing 109.34. Now write down the decimal point under the first decimal point, and then you can just write 8 over here and 09 over here. Let me change the color. Okay, so 4 minus 9. Well, you can't do 4 minus 9, so you have to borrow. This will turn into a 2. What is 14 minus 9? Well, that is 5. 2 minus 0, 2. 9 minus 8, 1. 0 minus 0, you can say there are two zeros over here. 0 minus 0, 0. 1 minus 0, 1. And then make sure you place the decimal point. So is 101.25 a reasonable answer? Let's think about it. Yes, it is. How? So just don't care about the decimal points and just subtract 109 minus 8. Well, that is 101. And is 101.25 close to 101? Well, it is. So our answer is reasonable and right too. Okay? So our answer is 101.25. Okay, let's do another question. So 9.8 minus 3.02. 9.8, and then place the decimal point 3.02. We can say that there is a 0 over here. Again, placing a 0 in these kind of places, like empty places, will really help. Okay, it makes things much clearer. So we can subtract 2 from 0, so we have to borrow. 10 minus 2 is 8. 7 minus 0 is 7. 9 minus 3 is 6. 6.78 is our answer. Let's see if that's a reasonable answer. What? So let's just say there's no 0.02 and 8. 9 minus 3 is 6. Is that close to 6.78? Yes, it is. So that's right. And this is also right because we checked it through reasonableness. Now let's do the third question. It's a word problem. It says Christopher has $580.93. He bought an Xbox Model S, which costs $279. How much money does Christopher have after he spends his money on his Xbox? So we know that this is a subtraction problem because it's basically asking how much money does he have left once he spends his money on his Xbox. So that's basically subtraction. Okay? Now, the total is $580.93. The cost of the Xbox is $279, right? So we have to subtract the total minus dollars of Xbox to find how much he has left. So let's write $580 minus 93. I mean 0.93 minus 279 will give you how much he has left. So let's do it. 580 minus 93 minus 279. So in this we don't have to subtract any decimals, but then let's write two zeros to make it easier to understand. So 3 minus 0 is 3. 9 minus 0 is 9. 10 minus 9 would be 1. So you have to do this. 7 minus 7 is 0. 5 minus 2 is 3. So he has $301.93. Let's see if this is a reasonable answer. Let's round 580. Okay, so think that there's no decimal points. And 580 minus 280, how much is that? Well, that is 300, and that is close to 301.93. So our answer is reasonable. Okay? So Christopher, let me just write this quickly. Christopher has 301.93 left. Thank you guys for watching, and that was all. Please comment down below how many answers you got right.
Like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe.